Oh my God, this is working. And I have 8 of you. Okay, my face is flipped. This is so confusing. I've never done a YouTube live before. How exciting. I'm just going to put this on Insta so people can join in. Give me 2 seconds, guys. Everyone, we are live on YouTube, so come and join. The link is in my bio, or you will have been emailed it right now. Everyone, okay. Thank you guys for coming. Please say hello in the chat thingy if you'd like to. Please ask any questions if you'd like to in the chat thing. I don't know how this works. I've done it on a YouTube live before, but hopefully all runs smoothly. It's really different to YouTube live, Instagram live. But so I know there's actual people here. If you want to say hi, oh yeah, I got some hellos. If you'd like to say hi, I'd really love that because this is weird. Okay, today we're going to talk about stress because I've had crazy stress. I've my biggest period problem, and most of my clients, or all my clients, I'm actually, except for like I think one, is too stressed. So, denominator for really all period problems. If you have really, really heavy periods, if you have painful periods, if you get hormonal acne, if you did weight gain, if you have trouble sleeping, if you feel weird, if you feel like you're buzzed, that's also, if you get snappy at people, if you get really bad PMS between ovulation and your period, that's also low. That's also from too much cortisol. So stress. What else? Like literally everything is stress related. Literally everything, and that's why it is the hardest thing to fix. And I don't beat around the bush with my clients and saying that it is the worst thing and it's the hardest thing, but we all have to work on it because unfortunately, literally all of us suffer from stress related issues. So, I'm talking about today. So, if you saw my Instagram story the other day, you would have noticed that I spilt my boiling hot cup of tea all down myself and my laptop. Damage. So I was like, thank gosh, manifested that shit. Anyway, that caused just a whole pile of stress amongst other stuff. Was like crying this morning just because I was like, I can't get a break. Like, I mean, here I've got my hands strapped up, like everything just keeps happening. But anyway, we're not going to dwell on that because I really have, I don't have much to complain about. But I wanted to just talk about stress because today I was feeling very buzzed again. And I think a lot of people also feel the same way in this sense. And it's hard to distinguish between what is stress and what is feeling excited. So when you are feeling really excited, you might be feeling this buzz feeling, and you could be thinking, this is good, like I'm on a roll, I'm like super go, 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 go. That is still stress. So one of the things with intermittent fasting, who has done any intermittent fasting or bulletproof stuff, anything like that in before, put it in the comments. If any of you guys have done any of that. Because what I often find with clients and friends and whatnot is one of the things that they love the most about intermittent fasting is the energy they get. Now, the problem with a lot of this energy is they get this buzzed feeling, because I get it too. And so I think that got a very clear head, and I'm like just powering through so much work, and I'm on fire. But even though this intermittent fasting is very healthy and it's great for digestion and whatnot, that buzzed feeling of feeling really crystal clear and like go, 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 that's actually your adrenals working in overdrive. And if you have a sensitive period, if you have any PMS, any hormonal issues, any unwanted weight gain, any sleeping troubles, any digestive issues. So like most people have one of those things. You don't want to be working your adrenals in overdrive. Does that make sense, guys? Please write stuff in the chat box if you're not. I've got Sabina that's written hi. Thank you, Sabina. But sorry, there's actual people and we're not like, I don't have scam people here from YouTube. Please write in the thing. Oh, yay. Okay, awesome. It's making sense. Great, great, great. Thanks, Sabina. So what was I saying? So that feeling of, when you haven't had much food, but you're feeling really wired and buzzed and like super excited and inspired. I was feeling like that today and I just feel like I'm on fire and I could get so much done. But if I really tune in, I'm like, I'm actually so fucking stressed, but I think it's good stress because I think I'm getting a lot done and I'm like, woo, woo, woo. But, oh, hey, Caitlin. But the problem is that whether it's excited stress or upset stress, stress is stress. So even things like if you're, say, at something really exciting. If you're getting married, okay, that's not a good example because often you're really fucking stressed. I don't know, what's like a really good example of you being really happy? Christmas morning. Okay, Christmas morning when you're a kid. You're really, really happy. You're really excited. You're running around everywhere and you feel like you're on fire. That, although you're really excited, that's still stress, right? But the problem is that we are struggling to differentiate the two. Thank you. And because we're not differentiating the two, we're falling into this trap of, even though when we're, on our bulletproof coffees and we're intermittent fasting and we think we're all like, hunky-dory and crossing so much shit off the to-do list, having the most productive day, and we think that's great, it's actually not. It's still releasing the exact same hormones as if you were like hit by a car or if it was Christmas morning. It's all the same hormones. So I'm not saying that you can't get excited and that you can't get upset. I'm saying we need to be able to understand that stress is stress, right? So for example, me going and walking on the beach this afternoon, putting my feet in the sand, really grounding into the earth, putting my feet in the water, sitting for 5 minutes with my thoughts, not listening to music, not listening to a podcast, not talking to friends, just breathing and looking at the ocean, that reduces cortisol. And I can tell you right now, doing this YouTube video, for example, even though it's fun and exciting and I love doing these things because I love talking about periods and I love having you guys listen to me and I love all your amazing feedback. Thank you so much to those of you that have answered the survey. I've gotten so many replies and I really appreciate it. If you haven't answered that survey on my email, I would love for you to do it. It's like really quick, but I'd really appreciate it. So even though I love all this stuff and doing these YouTube lives, I can tell you right now that I'm stressed. You can tell in my voice. I'm talking fast. I'm excited. I'm happy. Anytime I'm with a client or I'm doing a workshop or I'm doing a YouTube live or I'm talking to anybody about health and periods and whatever, it's stress. So are you guys seeing how even when we're happy and excited and good, we're still releasing stress? So right now, I'm stressed. Actually, I can calm down right now. And now I'm not stressed. I should try and do this in a very calm state, shouldn't I? So what are some things that now the other thing I want to explain is, and I have talked about this before, but I'm going to reiterate it again. So when you are in your luteal phase, and your luteal phase is between ovulation and the first day of your period. So I'm actually releasing my Power Up Your Period free ebook tomorrow night. So make sure that you get your hands on that tomorrow night because it talks about every different phase of your cycle. But when you are in between your ovulation and your period, so you're in that luteal phase, that's where your progesterone is supposed to peak and supposed to increase. But a lot of us have low progesterone, okay? And that gives us a lot of the PMS symptoms. Now, the reason why we have low progesterone is because in order for your body to make cortisol, it has to tap into your progesterone stores. So I was actually just on the phone to a client before talking about this with her, and I'm talking about this to every single client that I'm seeing because we all have the same bloody problem. Just put that on silent. So Hopefully you can see this. So it's backwards, sorry, but cholesterol is up here, okay? So cholesterol, you need cholesterol in order to make all your sex hormones, okay? So you'll start off with cholesterol. This is a very simplified version, okay? You'll start off with cholesterol, then you'll make some progesterone. I couldn't spell before, so I had to cross that out. Then you'll make some progesterone, and you really can't say this, I'm sorry. And then you'll make cortisol. So in order for your body to make cortisol, it has to go back up the line, and it takes away progesterone, and it takes away from all your other sex hormones. So cortisol is the precursor for all your sex hormones. Is that making sense? Sorry, if you want high levels of progesterone, you know what? Like high, it's actually really, really, it's impossible to get high levels of progesterone. But if you want good levels of progesterone, you've got to decrease your cortisol, because every time your body's secreting cortisol, it's actually taking away from your progesterone stores, okay? And the problem is, every time your phone goes off, or you spill hot tea on your laptop, or you get excited seeing a friend, or you have a couple drinks one night, or you don't get much sleep, or you nearly get run over by a car. I mean, all of those things are releasing cortisol and decreasing your progesterone. So we can just go through a million things that are happening in your day that's increasing your cortisol a bit and taking out your progesterone, which is affecting your cycle. And some of the ways that this is going to show up, and who's read my latest blog post? If you haven't read my latest blog post, make sure that you go read that, because I'm talking about progesterone in this. And okay, yeah, I'll answer that in a second, Caitlin. So I'm talking about progesterone in my latest blog post and some of the symptoms of low progesterone. So some of the biggest things is like you feel very anxious and depressed in that time before your period comes. You have a lot of fluid retention. Your energy is just all over the place. You're quite angry. What else? Basically are just really, it's actually called post-ovulation depression, and that's between that PMS phase. Oh, you get a lot of cramps, your period's really heavy, blood clots, all those sort of things. Progesterone is actually your calming hormone, so it really helps calm you down. Estrogen makes you excited and happy and energized, and it increases your libido and all that sort of stuff. But progesterone makes you feel really calm, cool, and collected. And that's why in between your ovulation, so that's why in your luteal phase, you can often have a really long, massive to-do list, but you're like, fuck it, I'll do it later. I mean, that's me. Who else is like that? You're like, oh yeah, Rachel. So if you subscribed after it was sent out, so Rachel just asked if you need to subscribe to get my blog posts. No. So my blog posts are on my website. You can go check them out. But if you subscribed after I sent this week's newsletter, you just wouldn't have gotten it in your inbox. But you can go on my website and it's still there for you to read. So what I was saying was, what was I saying? Oh yeah. So progesterone makes you feel really calm and cool as a cucumber, and estrogen makes you excited. And if you don't have enough progesterone, you'll get into this phase and you'll feel depressed and you'll feel anxious and all that sort of stuff. And you're not going to feel that cool as a cucumber sort of vibe. So when I'm in my luteal phase, and you'll read about this in my Power Up Your Period guide that's coming out tomorrow night. But so in this phase, I'm like, I'll have the longest list of to-do things, but I look at them and I'm like, fuck it, let's watch some Netflix. Like, that's my vibe in my luteal phase. Like, I'm super like, I can do it tomorrow. I can do it later. And I'm really chill. And that's the progesterone. So if you're not getting that vibe, if you're getting anxious and depressed, really heavy periods, blood clots. So progesterone also helps lighten your period. If you're not getting that sort of stuff, they're all signs that you don't have enough progesterone. And just as a general note, most of us don't have enough progesterone, okay? All right, let's get back to cortisol. So that is how cortisol is going to affect your period, for example, and how it comes. Some other things is that it affects the way your insulin responds, okay? And Caitlin, this relates to you. So you don't want to be insulin resistant, because when you're insulin resistant, this is what can develop into PCOS. So you want to be insulin sensitive, which means that when you eat a little bit of carbs, you eat food, your body releases the insulin and your cells actually can sense the insulin and actually take in the insulin. Whereas when you're insulin resistant, the cells aren't registering the insulin, so your body keeps pumping it out, but it's going nowhere. That's not what you want. You want the cells to be like, insulin, gives and then opens up, takes the insulin in and actually uses the insulin. But when you're insulin resistant, that's not happening, okay? And when you've got high cortisol levels, that also interferes with your insulin levels. And that is how it can affect PCOS. Additionally, with PCOS, Caitlin, and this relates to everybody actually. So if you find 1 month your cycle's very long, this can be because your body has tried to ovulate multiple times. So, going back to caveman days, when you have like a massive stress, your body releases the cortisol. You go into that fight or flight state. Your body is thinking that you're running from a saber-toothed tiger. Sorry, itchy boob. Your brain is thinking you're running from a saber-toothed tiger. So obviously you don't need your digestive system, and you sure as hell don't need to be, getting pregnant when you're running from a saber-toothed tiger. I mean, sex and run at the same time. So it shuts down your digestive system and it shuts down your reproductive system, okay? So you're not ovulating. So what can happen is if you have something stressful happen, your body's going to push off ovulation because it's like, oh, no, she's not ready to get pregnant yet. So it could push it off by a couple days or a week, and it will try and ovulate again. And then if you keep releasing cortisol, it's going to be like, nope, we can't ovulate yet. So it's going to ovulate maybe a bit later and a bit later. And that's what happens with PCOS as well. So with PCOS, your body keeps trying to ovulate, but it's not actually following through. And this can be stress induced. There's actually a number of different types of PCOS. One of them is the insulin resistant PCOS. So Caitlin, that's the one that you have. But there's also, and let's not forget, guys, that PCOS, endo, all that sort of stuff, these aren't like the be all and end all. You can still get pregnant. You can reverse your PCOS. You can put it into remission. You can put your endo into remission. You can reverse your endo. You can still have kids with your endo. Don't think this is a be all and end all. And if any of you have PCOS, have endo, and your doctors are like, put in all this fear in you, please know that you can still fall pregnant. You can still be without pain. You don't need to have surgery, all that sort of stuff. If you want more information, obviously I'm here to help you. Okay, so your body keeps trying to ovulate, Caitlin. And this is where the PCOS can come in. But then also, what was I saying? PCOS, ovulation. So one of the types of PCOS is adrenal PCOS, which basically means that your adrenals have been working so hard for such a long time that it gives you PCOS. And when your body releases cortisol, your adrenals are involved. And that's why you can feel it in your chest sometimes and like quite in the middle towards the back. That's your adrenals going. So your adrenals sit just on top of your kidneys, and that is that. Is this making sense, everybody? Awesome. So what was I saying? So that's also with and then there's another type of PCOS called inflammation PCOS. And all these PCOSs, by the way, you can have and then they can disappear. So like I probably had like fucking all the PCOSs, but I've gotten rid of them all. Oh, Emma, awesome. I'm glad. Yeah, everyone was like, do stress. Everyone suffers from stress. And it's what I'm constantly seeing. Every client that comes in, I'm like, oh my God, the stress. It's all fucking stress, which is the shittest thing because it is the hardest thing to get rid of. You really have to work on it. There's no like supplement that's going to fix it because that's the root problem is stress, and we always want to get to the root problem. Okay, so then there's inflammation PCOS, right? And inflammation PCOS. So when you've got a lot of cortisol and a lot of stress, that also creates inflammation in the body. So then you can get inflammatory PCOS. So basically, you don't want stress. I mean, stress leads to inflammation, and inflammation is the root cause of like every disease, is it not? Stress is obviously bad, but we do want a little bit of stress. Like cortisol gets a very, very bad rap. And that's because a lot of us have too much of it, but we do need a little bit of cortisol. We need a little bit of cortisol so we can run away from the truck that's about to hit us, or we can react when a bee stings us. Like, obviously, cortisol is important, but we are having way too much of it, okay? So let's go through some tips. This is good. I've actually got a timer here so I can see how long I'm talking for, because I do want to like try and keep these shorter than longer because I have a tendency to blab forever. Let's go through a couple things that we can do to reduce stress and that I have found to be really helpful. And I will admit I'm a chronic stressor, but the problem is that I love stress. Like, I like being stressed and I like being buzzed. And I've really had to pull it back and be like, Monica, as much as you love having bulletproof coffees and as fabulous as you feel when you intermittent fast, because if you've done intermittent fasting and bulletproof coffees or like bulletproof cacao elixirs or whatever, who else just finds that you are on fire? Because I do, and a lot of other people I talk to, a lot of clients do. But I will be the first to admit that it is not good for any woman that's got high cortisol, or really for any woman for that matter, unless you've got a very robust cycle. Everyone is different, okay? So I'm very, very sensitive to stress, but then one of my friends, Liv, she is not sensitive to stress. So her hormones, she's got a very robust menstrual cycle, and she can do bulletproof coffees every morning, intermittent fasting. She feels fab, and her period comes beautifully with no problem every month without a doubt. But everyone's different. So I'm going to share with you guys some of my top things that I do every day now that have really helped my cycle. Number one is eating sweet potato, okay, at night. So if you have not read my blog post about sweet potato, I'm going to type it in right now in the comments, monicayates.com.au/sweet potato. I think that's the link. Okay, hopefully that's the link. If it's not, it's sweet dash potato, but just search sweet potato on my website, okay, to read the whole blog post. If you have sweet potato at night, so your cortisol is here and your blood sugar is here. It kind of sits on like a seesaw, right? So when your cortisol is really high, your blood sugar is going to be low. And if your cortisol is high and you eat sweet potato, it's going to blunt your cortisol, okay? It will spike your blood sugar a little bit because it's a carb, but it's got a lot of fiber in it, and you'd be eating it with like olive oil, coconut oil, healthy fats. Sprinkle some cinnamon on there because cinnamon helps slow down that release of blood sugar. But it's going to lower your cortisol, okay, which is so important for sleep because you need to have low cortisol when you go to bed. You want your body to be making a lot of melatonin so that you get a good night's sleep and so that it can create all the delicious hormones for a healthy period, healthy libido, healthy everything, okay? So many of my clients, when I do this, they report back saying, oh my God, every night that I eat sweet potato, I have a better night's sleep. And then when I don't eat sweet potato, my sleep is shit. So for the 10 of you that are live right now watching, I challenge you for the next 7 days, and please let me know how you go. Please, 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 to some nights eat a whole pile, like lots of sweet potato, lots, not like 2 chips, like a whole sweet potato. Eat it at night, monitor how you sleep, and then also try a night where you don't have sweet potato and see the difference. It's amazing, okay? So sweet potato is my number one thing for reducing cortisol. It's also really important to note that when you're doing a very low carb diet, that increases cortisol as well. And very importantly, it actually can disrupt your thyroid. It disrupts T3 and T4, okay? So if you do low carb for too long, it does disrupt your thyroid. Studies have proven this. And for women especially, we really need to get out of a too low carb state. So for a woman with any cortisol, any period issues that's on a lower carb diet, and I am on a lower carb diet, I don't eat grains, I don't eat sugar, like any of those carb things, but I do eat starchy veggies only at night to help with sleep, to help with melatonin, and just to help my cycle and my hormones be really supported. But it's really important you do this at night only. But I want you to make sure that you are definitely including plenty of starchy veggies at dinner at least 3 times a week, so that you're cycling in and out of a low carb diet. That's going to be really, really helpful for your cortisol and supporting your adrenals. Oh, Sam. Oh, wait, sorry, this is Caitlin. I have no trouble sleeping. I could sleep anywhere. Fantastic. Question is, though, do you wake up feeling tired or do you wake up feeling energized, Caitlin? So that's one of the biggest things, sweet potato, right, for cortisol. So if you've had a really stressful day, if something intense happened, make sure that you eat some starchy veggies that night. You also want to be making sure that you have plenty of healthy fats, because healthy fats really help support your thyroid as well. And having enough fat also tells your body the world is a safe place. There is no famine. I don't need to be in fight or flight. When you have high cortisol, do not let yourself get really hungry. You don't want to be eating a lot, like you don't want to be snacking all throughout the day. I never advise for snacking because it's harder for your digestive system. Every time you eat food, you release insulin, which you don't want, because then you can become insulin resistant if your body's constantly releasing insulin. So you want to avoid snacking a lot. But if you are struggling with getting your period back, or if you've got any cortisol issues, you really don't want to during the day be hungry. So you want to do what I do, and you want to make sure, when I was, after my ski accident, when I was working really hard to get my period back, I would snack more so in the afternoon. I would have like a little something in the afternoon to make sure that I was keeping my cortisol low. But now that I've got my period back and I'm regulating things a bit more and I've adjusted my lifestyle and stuff, I'm now back to my 3 meals a day. Now, the tip is you need to make sure that in each of your meals, you've got plenty of fat, plenty of fat. None of this quarter of an avocado business. Slab half an avocado in there, drizzle with olive oil. You want to have the chicken skin in there. You want to have the nuts, the seeds, the hemp seeds, whatever else. You want to the tahini, shove it all in there, okay? The fats and the protein is going to keep you full until your next meal. But if you get hungry, eat something, because if you get hungry and you stay hungry, you're going to be increasing your cortisol, which you do not want, okay? So that's another thing. Okay, 1 second. Oh, yeah, Caitlin, you've eaten a lot of sweet potato at night. Okay, Caitlin, so I challenged you this week to go for 2 nights in a row without eating any sweet potato and see how you feel with your sleep. Okay, Taylor, when you have high cortisol and are a bit buzzed at night time, is it bad to have desserts after dinner, even if they are paleo or healthy? Taylor, what is in your desserts? Let me know. What are the ingredients? Is there cacao? Is there maca powder? What sweetener is in there? Pop it in the comments and I will let you know, because that's going to depend on it. Okay, another thing for low cortisol is lifestyle. Lifestyle is the biggest fucking thing, and it's the shittest thing, right? Because it means you have to adjust your life, but you have to do it. Okay, and this is the root cause for a lot of problems with women that I see. So eating mindfully is a really big one. When you sit down to have your lunch or whatever, I want you to make the real effort of actually like not having a podcast, not having a book, not being on your computer, just sitting and really enjoying your meal that you're having, and really just like breathing through the process. If you in the afternoon want to make yourself a cup of bone broth, that would be really amazing. Bone broth is really grounding, very calming, but sit there in silence and just drink it. It's about just when you're doing something, okay, so like for example, what would be a really great idea is at night or in the afternoon, I've made my peppermint tea, sit outside on my balcony for 5 minutes and just drink it and breathe. Breathe. Just fucking be. Be is the key word. Just be. Okay? That is just saying it relaxes me. It's so important. And that honestly is going to make the biggest difference. And the thing that makes the key difference is doing these little things throughout the day. It's the little things that add up, right? It's the things you do every day, not the things that you do once a week. So if you don't have time for meditation in the morning, you don't need to do that. But if in the middle of the day you can spare 2 minutes is all I'm saying, to sit and have a cup of tea and not talk, don't talk to anybody, don't be on your phone, just like breathe and look. Please do that, okay? Or when you come home from work, flop on the sofa, flop on your bed, don't talk to anybody just for like 2 minutes and just shut your eyes and breathe is another really, really big one. I know this is not accessible to everybody because they don't work for themselves or they're not near a beach, but something that, I mean, I'm sure you can alter this in some way, shape, or form. A new ritual that I started for myself, and you've probably seen it on my Instagram, is that around 5 o'clock every afternoon, I will go down to the little like beach, which is like 10-minute walk away from my apartment. And I will go down there and I will put my feet in the ocean, put my feet in the sand, look at the view, be off my phone, breathe, and just like soak up the beauty of this planet. Honestly, it makes the biggest difference for me ever. Another thing is also reading at night, or even if you don't want to read, because sometimes you really are tired, you just don't want to read. Watch a TV show that doesn't make you stressed. So I love Younger. I will admit that I'm not somebody that just doesn't watch any TV because I've got to read every night. Like, I'm also a real person. I like to just watch a chick flick or watch some Gossip Girl or like, I don't know, Sex in the City, but don't sit down and watch like something that's like intense or scary or has you like gripping to your seat because that's also releasing cortisol. That's something to note, and people don't often put the two and two together. Reading a really intense book before you go to sleep that's like really makes you go on edge, or watching an intense movie or TV show makes you release cortisol. So you really want to be reducing that. That's really important before you go to bed because you want to be getting that good night's sleep. Making sure that you're also, I know everybody says this, but reducing blue light. Whenever you have a lot of blue light around, as soon as your body is aware about blue light, it increases your cortisol production and decreases melatonin, which you really don't want before going to sleep. You want to make sure that you also are sleeping in pitch black darkness. But the things throughout the day are going to make the biggest difference. And dancing. Guys, I've made Spotify playlists for you. They're on my website. The tab is called Listen to Me. There's different Spotify playlists. Play them, dance around the house once a day. It makes the biggest difference ever. I did this yesterday. I was feeling really stressed with all my work, and I was like, oh, I just need to have a dance. I put one song on, I had a dance around, and I felt so good. So I would also really do that. I've also even like listening to like some really nice calming music while you do work to help you be more in flow and less of the to-do list stuff. Um, all of these sort of things. Has anybody got anything else to add that they find really helps? And I'll mention it to the group. Okay, Taylor. Okay, sometimes coconut milk with cacao, loving earth granola with some frozen berries and honey, or just maca powder. Okay, so this is just something to see how it affects you. So cacao can keep you awake. It does have a little bit of caffeine in it, and it is very energizing. So it can keep you awake. So I would just monitor how your sleep is. I would try some nights without having cacao and see if your sleep is better, but only change the cacao. So don't do one night where you have sweet potato for dinner and then no cacao because you don't know which one it will be. Do it where you don't change anything else besides swapping the cacao for something else and see how that affects your sleep, or swap having the cacao drink for turmeric lattes. Get the Golden Grind blend. Their turmeric is the best quality turmeric that there is. A lot of the other blends have really crappy turmeric or they have sugar in them, and make a turmeric latte instead. The Yeah, and then don't have maca powder at night. Maca powder is also very energizing. Um, Loving Earth granola with some frozen berries and honey. If you can do the sweetness and stuff and whatever, then that's totally fine with the Loving Earth granola. That's better. You're better off having that for before you go to bed because the sugar in the granola and the honey is going to blunt your cortisol more so than having a cacao hot chocolate. Does that make sense? So you're better off having fruit and stuff at dinner or after dinner than going to bed. But also don't forget that every time you eat, you're revving up your digestive system, and every time you eat, that's secreting cortisol. But it's just seeing what works for you, like I said at the beginning, because everyone reacts differently to things. But every time you eat, that increases your cortisol because that's a stress on your body. That's why you want to be having healthy food. But of course, if you are stressing over the willpower of not having the donut, have the fucking donut because it's more unhealthy, the stress of not having the donut than just having the fucking donut. Okay, especially if you eat those treats in a really, really like calm manner. And if you, Taylor, sit down, or anybody for this matter, with your dessert, but you eat it in like a really appreciative way and you're really like, oh, this is so nice. You know, it's Friday nights or Saturday nights where you just like, for example, like you probably saw my Instagram stories the other night where I had the Koyo, this was like before my period, when I was like starving hungry all the time, when I had the Koyo and I had toasted coconut chips and it was just like, oh, heaven on a stick. That, for example, prime example of really enjoying a healthy treat in a really like, this is amazing sort of manner and really appreciating it. And I can tell you right now, that lowers your cortisol. Sitting at my computer and being like, no, I have to wait for dinner. I'm so starving, but I'll wait for dinner. I'll wait for dinner. That is increasing my cortisol like no one's business. Go and fucking eat the food, because as well, if you're sitting there and avoiding the food and you're like secreting cortisol as you avoid the food, your body's literally storing fat as you secrete cortisol. Eat the fucking food, decrease your cortisol, and your body's not going to store fat. Does that make sense? So if you eat something in a really stressed way, or if you don't eat and you're really stressed, you are going to hold on to more body fat than if you are not stressed and eat the food. Who has noticed that when people go on holidays, or when you go on holidays, you can eat a ton of shit food, ton of ice cream. You're in Italy, you're eating freaking pasta and pizza like no one's business. You're having cocktails at every freaking waking hour, but you still manage to lose weight. That is because, or you manage to eat the food and not feel bloated. That is because your body is so relaxed and you have so little stress that your body is burning fat and able to deal with all of these foods because you're not in a stressed state. Client I just had, there is no point worrying about your weight, worrying about the food that you're eating, worrying about, the weight that you've put on from your ski accident. This is my example. There is no point worrying about that whilst your cortisol is high, because you are not going to be able to decrease to get rid of the cortisol weight and stuff until you bring your cortisol back. So lower your cortisol by eating all the food and making yourself feel good with food, because once your cortisol is low, then you can work on getting rid of the fat, getting back into exercise, all of that stuff. Is this resonating with you guys? Does this make sense? I'm really hoping that I'm just making sense here and keeping it easy and simple and whatnot. I don't want to make things complicated. I want you guys to just focus on, I want you to find three different things that you really like to do. Awesome. Thanks, Emma and Rachel. Guys, I want you to find three things I just want you to think of them right now. What are three things that you really, really like to do? Okay, that really lowers your cortisol. Okay, what are three things that you really like to do that really lowers your cortisol? And type it in the chat box. It could be having a bath, it could be dry body brushing, it could be baking, it could be having a cup of tea, it could be going for a walk, lying on the beach by yourself, reading a book, anything, but it's got to be by yourself. Okay, I don't want you to go see friends because you get excited and that releases cortisol. Even though it's good cortisol, it's still releasing cortisol. What are three things that you could do for yourself that you enjoy doing? Or even if you only think of one, pop it in the chat box because it could give other people ideas and then give me ideas. Please put it in the chat box. And this is what I want you to focus on for the next week or two, okay? By having these different ideas, you have got different things to choose from in your little toolbox. So when you're getting stressed, you can pick one of the three. Probably bath. Awesome. Thank you for sharing, Emma. Yes, a bath is always good. People love bath. I love baths, but actually for me, the stress of the effort of running a bath to me is like too stressful. But I really do love baths. I might do one for myself this weekend. So for me, running a bath is just like, oh, fuck that. So what I actually really enjoy doing, and I do have an amazing view and whatever, so that helps. So now my thing is just to have a cup of bone broth and sit and soak up the view. Or I really enjoy eating dinner looking at the view. That helps really calm me down. So everyone's different, but I just want you to think of a couple things that you can do that you can have in your little toolbox that is going to allow you to choose one of those little things when you feel yourself getting buzzed or stressed to bring yourself back down. Okay. It can be something that takes 10 seconds, or it can be something that takes 10 minutes or an hour, whatever you feel like you want to do. And one thing that I always suggest to clients is you go to the bathroom, right? Everyone goes to the bathroom. When you go to the bathroom from now on, try not taking your phone sometimes, because everybody takes their phone to the bathroom. I do. Try not taking your phone to the bathroom and actually going to the loo and being like present in the moment. And when you're on the loo, use going to the toilet as your trigger to breathe. So when you go to the toilet, sit on the loo and be like, and just like breathe. Fucking breathe. That's your trigger. Find other little things that can be your trigger, okay, for helping you relax and breathe. What else have we got? Infrared sauna. Oh, that sounds so good, Taylor. I want to get an infrared sauna. Lighting candles and a cup of tea. So true. So true, Rachel. It's just the little things, right? Even like putting your essential oil diffuser on, anything like that is just the little things. Even like getting changed into trackies. Caitlin, listening to music, meditation as well, getting a facial, walk on the beach with my dogs. Amazing. So, guys, there are so many things that you can do for helping reduce your cortisol throughout the day. And even if you're at work, sit outside on your lunch break, okay, instead of sitting in the office, or instead of going to sit with a whole pile of girlfriends, a couple times a week, go and eat lunch by yourself and just enjoy the process, because it does lower your cortisol and it really does help. Or even get off a stop earlier on the bus or the train or the tram or wherever, or get your Uber to drop you off a little bit further away from home. So you can walk for 10 minutes, and just having this leisurely stroll home after work is actually going to be really, really good for your body. This is a really good one to do, because if you do that, it's going to lower your cortisol as you walk home leisurely. And then by the time you get home, you will have had 10 minutes, you will have been breathing, you will have gotten some fresh air, and you will have lowered your cortisol. So when you walk in the door, you're more pleasant to everybody in the house that's there. You're not going to go straight to the kitchen and then binge eat a whole pile of food. You're less likely to overeat dinner, and you've just given yourself a bit of movement. Your body's had some movement, your blood's been pumping, your lymphatic system's been going. So many benefits of just a little bit of a walk, okay? And it also means that you don't then come home, even if you're like, oh, I'll go drop my stuff home and then go for a walk. How many times do we say that to ourselves, and we get home, we're like, fuck this, I'm like watching TV. Amazing, Caitlin. I walk to and from home. I walk to and from home, I think you meant to work. It's a great thing because it gives me the time to debrief for the day. Exactly. It allows you to process some of your thoughts, doesn't it? So, ladies, I hope this helps a little bit with how to reduce your cortisol. I'm really sorry for this fucking disgusting thing on my hand. I need to change my bandage, but I haven't gotten around to it. I hope this helps a little bit with lowering your cortisol. As per usual, if you want more tailored information or more personal help, or you've got more questions about your period, please book in for a one-on-one session with me. I have had some people asking lately whether I'll do packages for them. I do packages with period sessions and stuff. Life coaching, I do packages for, all that jazz. It's just that a lot of young girls want to come for the one session because they don't have the money to fork out for like 5 sessions, which I totally get. And that's why I created the one-off strategy sessions, because I wanted you guys to be able to come for a one-off session, see that you trust me and that I've got good information to give you. And then you can always book in for another session. But please feel free to book in with me or contact me, send me a DM, whatever you like. If you're any Sydney-siders, I've got some workshops coming up actually that I'm going to post on my Instagram stories in the next couple of days. It's like a save the date, because I'll release tickets next week. Otherwise, I missed a comment from you, Caitlin, I realized. I found being mindful eating, but also making sure I have me time has helped a lot, especially because I have a high stress job. Yeah, especially if anybody that's got a really high stress job, taking that 5 minutes out in the middle of the day is really, really important. Just to help lower your cortisol or go for a walk around the block. Anything like that is really, really, really important. Um, Amazing. Guys, thank you so much for joining. I'm going to keep doing these YouTube lives. I don't know whether I'm able to save these YouTube lives or not. I'm hoping I can. Um, but I'm now going to be doing YouTube lives from now on because I just don't trust the Instagram lives. I feel like this is going to work um, a bit better anyway. So have an amazing night, everybody. Thank you as per usual. And don't forget tomorrow night that I'm releasing the Power Up Your Period free ebook, which talks about every different phase of your cycle. Hopefully I will see some of you ladies in client sessions. I've already had some of you as clients. Let me know if you would like to book in with me. I think I've answered everybody's questions. If I haven't, send me a little message. Otherwise, have a beautiful night, everybody, and thank you so much for joining. I actually love you all so much. Oh, if you haven't done my survey that I did on my newsletter, I would really, really appreciate it if you would do it for me. I'm trying to get together as much information as I can about my business and about what you guys want. So when I create my programs and my books and stuff, I'm making sure that I'm actually giving you guys the information you want. So these surveys, I know you probably are like, this is not helpful. It's actually so helpful to me to know where to put all of my energy and work into. And I'm also trying to get investors on board for an app that I want to create. And in order for me to get investors on board, I have to prove to them that there's a real market for this and that there's a real need. And I really want to create this amazing app. So please, 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 please do the survey. All you have to do is go to click the link in my bio, and then it will open up with all the different links when it does. It's nearly there. Come on. Sorry. Load. Okay, so the links will come up and it's just the one of can you please answer, it's please answer a few questions for me to improve my biz. If you just click on that, and then there's just a couple of questions in a Google form. So many of you have already filled it out, but I would really, it's just literally, that's just a couple of, that looks long, but it's just examples I'm giving you. That's it. It's just 3 questions. If you wouldn't mind doing that for me, if you haven't already, I would really, really appreciate it. It honestly helps so much with enabling me to get investors, and I really need to get investors because I really want to help every woman in the world with this shit. So thank you guys as usual all so much for everything. I will talk to you ladies later. Rachel, thanks for this. It was very informative. Oh, thank you so much, Rachel. Okay, have a good night, everybody. I will talk to you later. Bye.